Hey guys, today we're going to start with session 1 of microorganisms, friend and foe. So there's an essential question. How does mold develop on bread? Is cheese a bacteria? And do I eat them with cheese? Are they good for my health? So to learn about bacteria, we're going to talk about microorganisms and how are they a friend and foe. Okay, so microorganisms means micro literally means small and organismos means organisms. So this is how microorganism gets its name. Example are bacteria, fungi, virus, then you have archaea, protozoa, etc. Now microorganisms can be unicellular, meaning single cell, or multicellular, meaning multi-celled. Now the study of living organisms is called biology. The study of microorganisms is called microbiology. Now let's talk about microorganisms. Now what is unicellular and multicellular in detail? Unicellular organisms are made up of only one cell that carries out all the functions needed by the organism. Multicellular organisms are composed of more than one cell. They contain groups of cells which are differentiated to take on specialized functions. Now let's talk about macroorganisms. Macroorganisms are organisms which can be seen with naked eye. Microorganisms, by the way, you need to see them with microscopes. Examples of macroorganisms are humans and beetles. Next, characteristics of microorganism. Microorganisms are present in air, water, soil. They vary in shape and size, and they can be unicellular or multicellular. Some microorganisms are helpful, but some are harmful too. Now let's learn about habitat of microorganisms. Microorganisms are most abundant organisms on our planet. They are found almost everywhere, from cold regions to hot deserted regions, even in the bodies of animals inside as well as outside. Some live alone while others live in groups called colonies. Now let's learn about types of microorganisms. Microorganisms are in 5 types: bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa, archaea. Now let's go on to types of bacteria based on their shapes. So bacteria are they exist in various shapes like rods, spheres, etc. According to their shapes, they are also classified into different groups. So the first group is bacilli. They are rod-shaped bacteria. Now example of bacilli is lactobacillus in curd making. And lactobacillus also makes the milk sour. Now let's go on to cocci. Cocci is a spherical shaped bacteria. Example of cocci are streptococci, and they are found mostly in chains. Then we have spirella. They are spiral shaped bacteria with rigid cell wall. Then we have vibros, which are coma shaped bacteria. Example of vibro is Vibrio cholerae, that causes cholera. Then we have spirochaetes, which are spiral shaped bacteria with flexible cell wall. Next, let's talk about the aerobic and anaerobic bacteria. Now organisms use oxygen to make energy. All organisms make energy through cellular respiration. Aerobic means involving oxygen. So bacteria which needs oxygen to produce energy is called aerobic bacteria. Then we have anaerobic bacteria which can survive without oxygen, means they are able to respire or produce energy without the need of oxygen. Then let's talk about algae. Now, unlike bacteria and viruses, algae cells have a nucleus. Algae may be found in colonies or in the form of multicellular fragments. Example, Spirogyra. They can be unicellular too. For example, Chlamydomonas. Now let's talk about protozoa. Protozoa is a group of microorganisms that are found in freshwater, ponds and rivers, marine and soil. They move with the help of pseudopodia. Example amoeba, flagella, example eugenia, and cilia, example paramecium. Now let's talk about fungi. Fungi are non-green heterotrophic microorganisms. They grow in dark and moist places. Example, yeast, mushroom, bread mold. Then rhizoids are, they are their function like roots for support and absorption of nutrients. Okay. Now let's talk about virus. Virology is the study of virus and virus-like agents, their disease-producing properties, their cultivation, and their other characters. Microorganisms or microbes. Now bacteria, they are good and bad types, and single cell eats what it's around them and they produce antibiotics. Then viruses, only BAD, parasite, 100x, smaller than bacteria. Fungi, mold and yeast, they grow mainly on mold and yeast. Algae, tiny plants. Protozoa, multicellular and found everywhere. Archaea survive in extreme environmental conditions. Now archaea or old bacteria. Archaea is also called as old bacteria. Antibiotics are usually they are used to kill bacteria, and here in viruses 100x means 100 times smaller than bacteria. Then fungi can be unicellular or multicellular, useful or harmful. Then algae, slimy to touch, mostly green in color, can undergo photosynthesis. Protozoa, some are harmful as causes diseases. Then archaea, they can be also known as old bacteria as we discussed later. COVID-19 coronavirus disease 2019, infectious disease caused by a newly discovered country. Mostly people affected with COVID-19 will experience mild to moderate respiratory illness and recover without requiring special treatment. Now COVID-19 is a virus and older people and those underlying medical problems like cardiovascular disease and chronic respiratory disease or cancer are more likely to develop serious illnesses. Now to stop the spreading of COVID-19 and to prevent it from spreading, you have some tips. First is wash hands with soap. If no water, use hand sanitizer, and when you go out, please wear a mask. And avoid communal gatherings and eat a very special diet. Now let's recap some things. Microorganism, a living organism that is very minute to be seen in the naked eye, and especially a single cell called organism, such as bacterium is called microorganism. Now I'll ask you some questions. Define microorganism with some examples. Okay, then differentiate tabular form between unicellular and multicellular organisms. Bye.